Hello everyone and welcome back to another guide video, this time on the Beastmaster class. So hopefully this guide will help you understand what all you need to know about the class and what all things you can do if you choose this class. So before we start about the class itself, one thing you should know about generic classes itself is that once you choose a class you cannot change it. The only way you can change a class is if you exit and change your scenario. So that's the thing you should know. So if you're not sure, then maybe you should choose the free person class and then maybe you can decide afterwards what you want to choose. So now let's say if you choose the Beastmaster class, so you'll get some traits over here. So example, you get a beast partner, so you'll get to choose one of the pets. Then you will get the Beast Whisperer, where animals in the wilderness will either attack or flee, and then you can view their stats and traits. Then you get Breeding Expert. You can give genetic items to give traits to animals and all, which I'll explain. And then you have the Wilderness Master, so you can craft gear for the animals to use for combat and all or other stuff, so which I'll explain. And then you'll get two starting items and then you'll get some formulas which you can see at your supplies bench. So let's say if you choose this, so you can select your class. So once you select the Beastmaster class, there will three things that will happen before you actually even start doing anything. The first is if you go to your backpack, so you will have this formula to, or not formula, but you'll have a consumable to get a beast partner. That's the first thing. The next thing is you will unlock certain formulas to craft gear or specific items on your supplies workbench. And the third thing is if you go to your mimetics, so in logistics you will have these three mimetics unlocked for you from default. So you can actually start building your own animal farm and start taming them from the start. And as you can see, even though the all the other mimetics in this page is locked, but the animal ones will be unlocked for you automatically, even though if your server has not reached that phase yet. So obviously the first thing you will do is to obviously select your pet. So let's just choose. So you get three options. One is the Pongo. You can actually see. So this is mostly to help you for gathering items. So this is more like a territory type pet. Then you have Misha, which is a bear, and it serves mostly as like a defensive tank. So it will absorb bullets for you. And last we have Shiro, which is a wolf. So it's a late bloomer which has is mostly for combat or to deal damage. So that's your main thing. So for me, I had chosen Misha since my deviation was Lone Wolf's Whisper. So I already have an attacker, so I just want a defensive tank. So let's select this. So once you select your partner, you can just simply go to your backpack here, and then you'll see it over here, and you can just click use. So you can just let's say place your animal here, and there you go. So I already have a starting pet without even doing anything in the game, since I'm using a new account to just to demonstrate this. So yeah, you can obviously if you go, you can you can check the details of the pet here. If I go and see, so you can see some details. And another thing you'll notice is this bear is only level 10, which I'll explain a bit later when I talk about leveling. So let's talk about the first trait, which is the beast partner trait. This trait allows you to use the beast whistle to summon animals which can either participate in combat or gather resources for you. So the first thing you need to do is go to your supplies workbench and you need to craft the beast whistles. One of them you'll get as a starting one, mostly the red one, but you can craft up to three. So once you craft all three of them, then you have to assign them to your animals. So how do you do that is just you can go to your animal. So let's say this is my starting partner, the bear over here. Click on details and then click on the whistle icon you can see on the UI over here. And then you can link any of the whistles. So let me link all three of them. So before you can summon your animal, you actually need to put the whistles in your hotbar. So let's do that. And now just simply use the whistle. So let's summon all three of my animals. So that will summon all three of your animals, whichever you have assigned to. And what you can do with your whistles, actually you can summon to wherever you want them to go. So let's say if I want, so wherever this crosshair of my other center is gonna point, so let's say if I want my animal to move here, so just put your crosshair at that place and then use the beast whistle again. So let's say if I use the green beast whistle over here. So you can see the leopard has moved to the location I wanted to move. This also, you can also use them to for mining or to attack enemies. So let's go for mining. So let's say if I want them to mine minerals for me, so let's target this tin ore over here. You just move your crosshair to the tin ore and then click on the beast whistle again. So as you can see, it has mined the tin ore. And one thing you actually, a cool thing about this is, even though I've only pointed to one tin ore, this bear will actually keep mining any tin ores it sees in this thing automatically. You see, I don't have to click anything, it will keep mining the tin ore for you. So obviously if you want, let's say, iron or this thing, you see, it'll automatically keep mining the ores for you. And whereas the other animals will, and if you want them to stop, so just let's bring him back here, so he'll stop mining the ores for me. And your other animals, depending, they might gather something. So let's see what my leopards have got for me. So they got me an acorn over here, and okay, another acorn. So depending on animal, they might actually dig. Okay, let's see, a bear has dig here, so I got a peanut as well. So that's how you can use your beast whistle to either summon them to either help you in combat or even just help you gather resources. And obviously once you summon them, to retrieve them back, all you have to go is go to them, and then you can just click on retrieve. So yeah, I'll retrieve them. Although one thing you should know is, if I go to my backpack right now, you can see there's a bit of a cooldown before you can use them. So it's almost like if you're calling back your deviations in your cradle. So just be mindful of that. Before we move on, the one small tidbit about the beast whistle is that you can only assign whistles to maximum level of an animal which is 9 levels above you. So what do I mean by this? So let's say if I take example this wolf of mine which is level 60. So currently my player level is 50, which is the max, and this is exactly 10 levels above me. So if I try to actually assign a beast whistle over here, you see nothing happens over here. You see, I can try for any of the whistles, it won't happen. This is because the max level animal that you can assign to a beast whistle is 9 levels above your player level. So since the max level animal you can actually assign is level 59. So unfortunately this level 60 animal I cannot use for summoning in the wild. Let's talk about the next trait you get as a Beastmaster, which is the Beast Whisperer trait. So just to show, instead of telling you, let me show you. So let's say if I run towards these deers over here, you notice something, they don't either run away from you, or if they're aggressive animals, they won't attack you. This is one of the traits of a Beast Whisperer. So this makes it very easier to, if you want to either capture or interact with them. And by far one of the, I think, coolest traits of the beast of a Beastmaster is, if you actually go to these animals, there's an icon which pops up, so you can actually check details of the animal before you even decide to capture them. So you see, I can see all its stats, and more importantly, I can see the traits. So this is pretty good because obviously, instead of trying to capture every animal and then seeing what the details are, you can do this before and then save a lot of time and only capture animals which traits you are interested in. And a small another tidbit about the Beastmaster classes, you can also actually hear what the animals are trying to say. So it's like as if you can communicate with them. There's no actual like in-game use or something of them. Is besides that they just have, sometimes they pop some funny messages. Speaking of capturing, let's move on to how you can actually capture an animal. So before you decide to capture an animal, you need to craft some items that you should be that you need to have. So the first thing you need to craft is a tranquilizer arrow. So which is this. So this will once you use a tranquilizer arrow on the animal, it will cause them to sleep, and then you will be able to capture them. Besides this, you'll obviously need to craft the crossbow as well, so that you can use this arrows, and you need to craft a low tier weapon. So for me, I think what I craft is a low tier melee weapon, because you need to damage the animal a little bit before you can actually capture them, but not so much that you might accidentally kill them. So before you try to capture an animal, if you notice at this animal's health bar, you can see there's a white eye dot in around the middle of the health bar. So this is called the threshold. And before you actually use a tranquilizer arrow, you need to actually get the health bar below that white arrow. So let's do that. So once the health is below that, then you can just simply use the tranquilizer arrow. So that's how you capture animals. So once you have captured the animal you want, simply just go to your backpack, and then you can just simply place it in your territory. So let's place the animal I just caught. Now if you actually check the details of this, you will notice some things. Most importantly, the tameness level. So I can see the tameness level is 0, and this should be your priority first thing. Once you bring it back in territory, you need to get the tameness level high, because if you read over here, tameness level 0, technically the animal does absolutely nothing for you. Besides that, some other things you might notice is, especially for your starting partner, is that your starting partner will be only level 10, which I will talk about how to increase the level. So to increase the tameness level, all you need to do is just keep your animal well fed and well hydrated. So for hydration, you can either use boiled or purified water. And for food supplies, it depends on the type of animal you have. But first, before you even start creating those, you need to first create this thing called as animal throw, which you will unlock from the mimetics for being choosing this class itself. So in this animal throw, then you can actually place foods depending on the animal. If you're not sure what your animal actually wants to eat, you can just go to your animal. So let's say if I go to my buck over here, and on the where it says stats, beside stats, there's a eye, like a yellow eye icon. So you can just tap on that, and you can see over here. So it tells you what it provides, and it tells you the diet. So if you didn't, because they have changed the UI from the previous, I think before this Dreamville update. So yeah, if you can't find the information, it's over here. So yeah, all you need to do is in the animal throw, just place water, and depending on the animal, their favorite food or the type of food they actually eat, which will actually help them keep them healthy and well hydrated, and it will increase the tameness level over time. So the other way you can actually enhance them is also the level. So if you look at this, my buck is actually level 21, and if I look at my starting bear, it's level 50. Though even though your animal actually starts about level 10, so to increase the level, you need to cook something called as body enhancement. So if you go to your stove, and there are these body enhancement feeds you can craft over here, which will increase the level. So obviously for feed 1, it will increase it to level 20. For feed 2, it will increase to 30. 3 will be 40, and the max highest you can reach is 50, which is right here, body enhancement 4. In my opinion, I think just craft body enhancement 4, because you anyways want your animal to get the highest level. So I skipped 1, 2, and 3. You might as well just give it level 4 and get it to level 50 directly, which is what I did for my starting animal. And also one more thing to keep them healthy. If you don't know what type of, there's another type of food you can give them. So which is these pellet feeds over here, or this. So let's say for example, for your bear and your wolf, you can just craft this and put it in the animal throw if you are not sure what type of food they like, because here you can use any meat, and which will craft this meat pellet, which can be consumed by all animals that prefer meat. Similarly, there's one for grain and one for herbal. So next, let's talk about the next trait which you get as a Beastmaster, which is the Wilderness Master. So this unlocks certain formulas that you can craft items and gears for your animals. So for this, you just have to go to your supply workbench, and let's just go through over them. So the first one is a metal claw, which if you equip your animal, will increase the animal's attack by a certain percentage, and obviously the rarer the material you use, it'll be higher. So like for example, for starter singer, it'll be 30%. For steel it's 10, and then tungsten it's 20. Next is the beast carapace, which reduces the damage the animal receives. So this is mostly useful for, like, let's say bears, since they're supposed to be defensive tanks. And obviously, as I said before, the rarer the material you use, the higher the number will be. Next is the smart helmet. So if you equip this, the animal summoner's exp will you gain will be by 60%. So this will be like if you use animals to fight against, let's say, enemies like Rosetta soldiers or deviants or something. So you will get more exp after you kill them. Next is the animal backpack. So summoner's maximum load will change, and obviously over here once again the rarer the material you use, the higher the value will be. Then next is the portable medkit. So it increases recovery amount by 1% max HP. I'm pretty sure this is for the animal. Obviously, animals do get damaged during combat, so this will just help them regenerate the HP. The next is the metal dental set. So this just increases the animal attack as well, but it's by a set number instead of percentage. So once you craft the items, how do you equip them to animals? Just simply go to animal and I click on details. And now above the whistle icon, there's a plus sign icon. So you just click on that. And here you can equip any animal gear. So before I equip, let's just see. So example, I'm going to equip one of the attack ones. So right now my bear's attack is 4000. So let's equip the metal claw, which will increase it by 20%. So now if I check my bear's attack, see from 4000 it has gone up to 4800. Similarly, if you can replace it with whatever icon you want. So let's say maybe I'll try the dental one, which gives straight attack of 600. Okay, I'm not sure why my attack is still 4800. It should be 4600. But yeah, as I was saying, you can actually, this is how you use the items you craft in your supplies workbench, and depending on what type of playstyle or what type of animal you have, you can equip them that type of item. Next, I want to talk a bit about this screen over here, which is the UI for this, for the animal information, because there are some important tidbits that you might miss. So obviously the first two I've already explained, which you can equip the animal gear and the beast whistle. But another tidbit is you can actually even nickname your animals. If you click on the animal, so let's say if I click on leopard, if I click on the name itself, you can actually nickname it. So I've already nicknamed some of my animals. Next is obviously the tameness level. So if I click on it, there's some information over here. And this is your main goal. You need to increase tameness level, as I've said before, so that you can get either byproducts or it will actually listen to you in combat. Then in the stats page, obviously some of them explanatory, like you can see level, attack, temperament. One is the remaining breeding chances. So what this means is that your animal will have certain times it can breed or attempts, and then once it's hit zero, it will not be able to breed again. So and the number of times it can breed depends on the grade of the level. So let me actually talk about the grade. So if you notice, my leopard is S grade, and it says 6. Actually it's supposed to be 7. They've already bred once. So if I go to my, yeah, let's say the bear or my wolf, so for S class animals, which is the highest rated, you will get 7 chances to breed. Similarly, if I go to A, it will be 6, and then the next lower class, so the grades were like S, A, B, and then C, and C is the lowest rated. And then obviously another option is there for allow breeding. So example, since my leopards have already bred once and I don't want them to actually breed anymore before, because I want to change the traits, which I'll explain how to do it. So I've actually disabled the breeding for one of them so that they don't use up their breeding attempts. Next is the rating screen, and similarly like on the stats, you can also click on the eye icon of the rating, so it will give you this information over here. Now some things I want to talk about in this rating section is, if you notice in the traits, some of them say evolvable and some of them say fusible. So if I click on this, the one which can evolve, so you can see from thick fur 1 it can actually become thick fur 2. And this one, how to evolve it is pretty simple, like at least this one is straightforward. So to evolve this one, I you have to read the second paragraph. So it says survive a single hit that deals over 1000 damage, and you need to do this 50 times. So once you achieve this goal, your thick fur one will evolve into thick fur two, and as you can see, the damage reduction instead of 5%, it will jump to 10%. So this is the first one. The next trait is actually, or not trait I would say, but the type of trait you could have is fusible ones. So this one, as you can see, if I click on view, so my animal current one has behemoth 1, and if I breed it with an animal which has the mutant trait, then there's a chance that my offspring will actually have the behemoth 2 trait. So that's the fusible one. And another thing is, if you there's something called a selective breeding. So this thing I'm honestly not sure how it works, because if I actually select what I want, so for example, if I want to pass down maybe relentless combat, so the confirm button is actually highlight, so I'm not sure how this works. So even let's say if I click on relentless combat and if I exit this, if I click selected breed again, you see it still default selects the first one. So I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong here. But one thing you need to know about traits is there are a lot of traits, and depending on the grade of your animal, you get number of traits. So for S class, you will get 4 traits. So as you can see, I have 4 traits here for this S class animal. If I go to A class and I see the traits, I only have 3. Similarly, B will have 2, and then C will only have 1 trait. Next, I'll talk about breeding. So before you breed, the first, let's say, item you require is this thing called as a youngling hut, which you can build from your facilities, since you have already unlocked the mimetics for it. Now, before you start breeding, the breeding happens automatically, by the way. It'll happen at any random time. But you need to follow some certain rules for breeding. So the first is, obviously needs to be the same species. So let's say I'm trying to attempt to breed a leopard here. So I have 2 leopards, and one of them needs to be male and one of them has to be female. If you don't satisfy these requirements, then they won't breed. Another requirement that you also need to satisfy is the tameness level. So if you see over here, only if it reaches from 80% tameness level onwards, it will actually enter mating mode, which will allow it to breed. And obviously the last thing is you need to keep the allow breeding option on. So for one of them I kept it on, and one of them I've kept it off because I don't want them, because there's already bred ones and I don't want to use their chances anymore. So once they breed, to check if it's happened, all you have to do is just check your youngling hunt. And as you can see, it has already mated once. So let's see what traits actually passed on. So one of my leopards had a gathering expert 1, quality meat 1, dieting 2, and mutant. And my other leopard had acidic meat 1, true grit 1, vigor 1, and mutant as well. So I can see in my offspring here, so dieting 2 has become dieting 3. I think since both had mutant, I got mutant as well. True grit 1 remained the same, and now I've got gathering expert 2 also as over here. And if you notice, in dieting, the 3 which has the number 3, the Roman number 3 is within next to the dieting word. But if you notice for gathering expert, the number 2 is in yellow. It's all in the right hand corner. This means this has happened. It means a mutant fusion has happened. So let me show you. Let me try to show you again. So technically this happened. So this animal had gathering expert 1, my other animal had the mutant trait. Both of them fused to give me gathering expert 2, which is in my offspring. So this is how you can use mutants traits or fusible traits to get better offsprings. But it's not the only way, because I'll explain some other way where you can actually make these animals even more powerful. One of the last things I want to talk about is this Firetrap Mutagen, which is, I'm pretty sure, by far one of the most impactful changes you can do with your animals to make them way more powerful and help you in combat. So what this, as you can see, the icon, which is a DNA strand, does this. You can actually grant a trait to your animal, like force a trait that you want. So if we read it over here, so you can actually, so there are 2 items you require for this. One is I'll talk about the mutant strain. So as you can see, it says over here, you can obtain by slaughtering animals with the mutant trait. So to get more mutant traits, you need to actually slaughter animals which have the mutant trait as the one of the traits. So my tip for this would be is capture animals which are either grade B or grade C, so that when you slaughter them, it's not a big loss. Because example, slaughtering S tier animals might be a big loss. So what I do is I just capture low grade animals, and you can just tame them to, since if the mutant rate is the first one, you can just tame them to 20%, which will unlock the mutant rate, and you can slaughter them. Although, so let's try slaughtering this one. Although one thing about slaughtering you should know is you will get this warning over here. So because this animal has low tameness, you will receive fewer resources. So this is because if I check my tameness level over here, it is only 40%. So if I see over here, it is currently just in the second phase. There's still a third phase, which is from 50% to 80, and then 80 to 100. So you could slaughter them now, or I think if you wait higher, tameness will get more. So I've actually already done one slaughtering. So if I So I've already slaughtered one wolf, which was around 30%. So just to give you some context, that only gave me one mutant strain. So that's why I think my advice would be is tame the animal to a higher tameness level and then slaughter them, so you'll get more than one mutant strain. And the other part to creating a Firetrap Mutagen is the first one, which you can change. So this depends on what type of trait you will end up crafting. So let's say for example, if I click on the fire trap factor. So it will just say the Beastmaster can grant certain animals the fireborn trait. So I'm obviously not every animal can equip this. So if I let's say I click on this. So let's say here it says fireborn attacks deal an additional 25% attack as blaze damage, and then doubled against enemies with burn effects. So obviously I'm pretty sure you're thinking this is a pretty good trait to pair with the KVD Boom Boom, which is the meta, and the Pyro Dino. So similarly, there are a lot of effects over here. So let's say if I let's go to the Thunder one. So obviously the Thunderbone one will attacks will do 25 more attack as bonus shock damage, and it will be double if you're against enemies affected by Power Surge. So if you're using a Power Surge weapon, then you can use this. Similarly, there are a lot of more. Like example, you can even use this against certain enemies. So let's say if I wanna craft the Rosetta Factor one. So this one means that the damage against Rosetta, especially Rosetta soldiers, will be 40% extra. So I mean, another one which might interest you is the Great Ones. So this one is damage against Great Ones. Great Ones are like the bosses, like the monolith bosses, or like the final bosses in Securement Silos, which have massive amounts of HP. So this will help. Uh, this will help you, especially if you're trying to play, nightmare scenarios by yourself. And then there are some other options which are like seed related. So yeah, like example, butchering will yield a small amount of additional grassland wolf skin. So depending on that, you can see what you want. One interesting one, another one is the golden wool. So this will pass the this golden sheep bloodline trait to your offspring, and then if you slaughter it, you'll get more golden wool. As you know, it's pretty rare and one of the best products you can use to craft your armor with. So now you saw what the Firetrap Mutagen actually does, which is just technically grant any trait you want of your choice to an animal, which can actually take it. How do you know what will your offspring or how it will work in breeding? So all you goes when you go to details and rating. So what you need to do is click on, if you see the mutant one which is says fusible, you can actually click on this, and it will give you all this information. So let's see all of this. So for example, if I craft the fireborn trait, so I can either equip it to my parent, or I can also give this to my offspring. So let's say if my one parent, I have forcefully changed the trait to be fireborn, and then this second animal has mutant, so there's a chance that my child will become the Firetrap Lord. So obviously, as you can see, it says attacks deal 25% extra damage as blaze damage, doubled against enemies with the burn effect. So that was the first part of Fireborn. But now there's an extra effect which happens, which says after taking damage, create a fire trap zone that deals 10% attack as blaze damage per second for 3 seconds. So this is why uh, the idea is you kind of want to make the perfect offspring. and you can keep going further. So let's say, all right, let's see the Lord of Thunder one. So regular Thunderborn will just deal 25% attack as shock damage and double against enemies affected by power surge. And then the new effect you'll get for Lord of Thunder is that attacks will also generate chain of lightning that hits up to 5 enemies, dealing 50% damage as shock damage. So that's the thing, you actually want to create good offspring. This is why actually I disable breeding so that I don't lose all the chances. So once I create the Firetrap Mutagen that I want or you want, so it depends on the weapon you use. So example, if you're using KVD, then you might want to go for some of the fireborn traits so that you can get anything which affects blaze damage. And similarly, you can keep scrolling down. So there's even some which deals with stardust as well, like the stardust pollution. So like example, if you see Stardust Lord over here, you get 25% attack status damage and double when you're in a pollution zone. Similarly, there are also a few which will help for gathering and mining. So example, if you choose the boar as your starting pet, then you might want to go for one of these traits. So obviously the question is, how do you get all those different types of strains that you need besides obviously the mutant strain? So for this, you will actually have to kill the specific type of enemy that you want, depending on the strain you want. So for that, your animal needs to actually participate in the combat. So let me summon my animals here. So yeah, there's a chance. So let's say I actually killed around 5 or 6 deviants, and then I got one deviant factor from one of them. So obviously it's a chance. But the thing is, your animal needs to participate in the combat. So I suggest if you want to farm, depending on what you want. Let's say if you want deviant or maybe Rosetta Soldier, Vulture, try to do it on low level ones so that it'll be easier for animals to kill them, and you can. And since you'll kill more of them quickly, you'll have more chances to get the particular strain. So let's say the deviant strain I got. So as you can see over here, a gene factor capable of countering the power of Deviant used to craft the mutagen that I want. And yeah, see, as you can see, it says over here, has a chance to drop when a Beastmaster Beast partner defeats a Deviant. So I think instead of participating, it actually has to get the kill. And yeah, it says obviously chance to obtain when defeating a Deviant. So since I defeated Deviants, that's why I got a Deviant factor. And alrighty, so that should do all about the Beastmaster class guide. I mean, before I wanna end the video, I have some final thoughts. So, as much as this class is pretty good, I would say it's not perfect. As there are some issues with, at least I think personally, with the class. The first and obviously foremost issue is, for some reason, even as Beastmaster, the maximum amount of animals you have is 6, which obviously, if you have gone through this video, you know how it is important to create the perfect animals and make the perfect combat animals using the Firetrap Mutagen especially. But thing is, if you only can keep 6 animals at a time, so you have to decide whether you wanna either tame or raise the animal to create the to apply the fire trap gene, or do you wanna then you need 2 of them just to breed to get a youngling, and then you'll also need to farm mutant strains, which means like you also have to put like animals which you just wanna slaughter pretty early. So I feel like at least as Beastmaster, this should have been limit of 10. I don't know why it's still 6, which is without even the Beastmaster class, which is the regular limit. And the other thing is also the AI of the animals is not the best. It's really sloppy at times. Even if you like mark something like to either combat, especially in combat, it might attack one enemy and it will not do anything. It just sits down. Like, I'm not sure. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. And also in your territory, sometimes even if you the animals get stuck here and there, which is very annoying because I have to sometimes move around my structures just for them to get free, or I have to like restart the game so that they're actually positioned somewhere else. So yeah, I mean obviously this is just the starting point. So hopefully the devs will actually fix these issues and make the class much more useful, especially with the limit, because you need to do different things or all different things at once if you wanna make the most out of this class. And yeah, that's it for this video. Hopefully you could understand what all was actually there and what all you can do with this class. And if you have any more further questions, feel free to ask me in the comments, and hopefully I can answer them. Unfortunately, I think the one thing I couldn't really explain was the selective breeding, because I mean that confirm button never actually lights up green, so I'm not sure either I'm doing something wrong or what the issue is. But yeah, that's it for this video, and thanks for watching.